Erik Andrade is a spoken word artist and community activist from New Bedford. He works with New Bedford youth through People Acting in Community Endeavor, PACE, Youth Built New Bedford, and the AmeriCorps Program Coordinator. Erik is the founding member of La Soul Renaissance and the Overflowing Cup Project. What's La Soul Renaissance?
La Soul Renaissance is a group of artists working together primarily through hip-hop and spoken word, but it's also open to other art forms of expression, primarily with music that's dealing with spirituality, social justice, and personal change, and also community change. Initially started at UMass Dartmouth in 2001, and it's continued on since.
Okay. So what motivated you growing up in New Bedford to become an artist?
I actually grew up outside in Rhode Island, and I came out to New Bedford via college. And I think the thing that motivated me, I was always a fan of music. I think art is something that is intrinsically in all of us. We teach ABCs to children. We use art and music for so many different things, and I think it's intrinsically in us. And for me, I think I found it through pain initially, going through hardship and transforming that pain into either poetry or music or some kind of expression that gives meaning, almost some purpose. Sometimes it's like a struggle to find out why things are happening to you or why you have all these emotions, and then the outlet of expressing it was therapeutic. And then in turn later on in my life, finding a spiritual connection to a higher purpose and synchronicity and stuff, and wanting to be able to share that with other people because it changed my life, and wanting to be able to give it to someone else.
I'd like to hear about that. I'd like to hear about your spiritual connection, if you're willing to share that with us.
Not a problem. My mother passed away in '96. The night she passed away, I was in the military, and a young man had committed suicide. And I saw a whole bunch of young people that I had relationships with crying and in suffering. And I stated I had no respect for someone that committed suicide. The next day I got brought in and I found out that my mother committed suicide. So years later, I don't know, I believe in there's no coincidences in life. And for years I kind of hid that had happened, and people would say that I'm sorry to hear that. The reality is sometimes a loss is really a gain, and things that we think we've lost, we don't really lose in terms of the spirit. I know someone was speaking at this conference directly about her mother passing on and the connection. My mother reached back to me, and I had an experience, a spiritual experience. At the time I didn't really believe in a higher power or anything. I struggled believing in a purpose in life in general. And she kind of spoke to me and had a message for me and was telling me I needed to change my life. And in that experience, I ran from that, and then afterwards I've had countless experiences where either random strangers will come up to me, a book will find you, the universe responds to what's going on inside of your head and inside of your heart. And that's basically what set me on a journey to start looking what is going on, what is really going on. I felt like I was on the Truman Show, and I just started searching. And as you search, you find, and I found that spirituality comes from many different places. It could be a song on the radio that you hear that's responding to something that's going on inside, or it could be a conversation you have with a stranger that you just met. And I feel like it's in every aspect of life.
So you are the mentor and a member of the Connecting for Change youth community.
Mm-hmm.
I imagine that your spiritual experience and the loss of your mother has created a path and a way for you to have compassion for others.
I definitely believe that people that have experiences of pain tend to be able to sympathize and empathize with other people. And I think that even in my work, I do a lot of work I've been working in the nonprofit field for about 14 to 15 years, and I work with young people. And I feel like the fact that you've gone through something makes you sensitive to the world around you. It makes you compassionate because you see yourself in somebody else's situation and in their suffering, and you can empathize with them, and that draws connection. And then especially when you've walked out of something and you've overcome those challenges, to be able to give back is rewarding in itself. So.
How has Connecting for Change and the Marion Institute been instrumental in your life?
Years ago, I was very involved in the anti-war movement, and during that period of time, I felt that the world was in a dark place. And even going to conferences and rallies and such, I didn't leave empowered. I felt a release of my voice and my frustration with what was going on, because I felt like, that being empathetic for what was going on in Iraq and knowing that children and young men were getting sent over the wall was so painful, and it was such a dark period of time. And after a couple of years of what I felt was like a banging my head against a wall, I kind of checked out. I think I burnt out. I stopped doing art. I stopped doing poetry. I stopped being involved in the social activism and being involved. I started working in the deli and just, I'm going to check out and just worry about me and my family now. I can't do this anymore. I was unhealthy in my process of doing the work even beforehand. It wasn't sustainable. It was like you're running and running and running, and there was no rest. And via my job at Youth Build New Bedford, we've been participating in Connecting for Change, and we came. And it was a wake-up call, and it was refreshing to be in an environment that was bringing the elements of those rallies that I like, which was the fact that you had other people that were like-minded with you. I had those elements, but it wasn't, the energy of it was very different. The energy is more calm, more refreshing, more empowering, and just like the ideas that I was hearing here, the people I was meeting. More so, I think just the collective energy of that many people being in the same room and being about solutions, and less of a focus of what's wrong and more of a focus on what we could do that's better. Sometimes it's easy to attack and criticize what's wrong, but what's the alternative? And that's what I found that was refreshing here, was the ideas. It literally inspired me. It was such a beautiful experience the first time, and it has been, this is the 4th year I've been coming to the conference. It's remained that, it's different for me now, and I find more and more the conversations I have with people one-on-one are some of the things that are the most important in sustaining that connection with the people that you meet. Because sometimes you meet people, they're amazing people, and then you go back into the day-to-day life you have. And I think that's the one thing that's hard about this conference, is like seeing it end and then waiting a year for it to happen again. But as I'm becoming more mature and realizing the importance of the work I have to do to keep them connections intact, I'm hoping that, the people I meet will continue throughout the year, and it'll just be a reunion next year when we come back. So.
And what do you think Connecting for Change has done for the city of New Bedford?
For New Bedford, I think for the young people I work with, it's amazing to see young people that I work with, youth that have been pushed out of schools, primarily 16 to 24 years old, that are looking for change in their lives. And a lot of times they feel isolated, and you feel like alone in your community. And for them to have people come into our community and give a space for them and to give voice to them, and then also the education that they receive is such a vital thing. And that's just one of the small things it does. I think it charges up the activists that I hear that are doing the work, because like I was saying, one of the things that's the most common thing I see in the field is burnout. You have people that are empathetic and they care and they're givers, and the givers tend to give and give and give and give and give and give. And I feel like the Marion Institute and the Connecting for Change Conference is an opportunity for us to have our cup refilled. And I think that's one of the most important things that Connecting for Change does.
Thank you, Erik.
You're welcome.
Appreciate you doing this with us.
Thank you. Thank you for doing what you're doing and capturing the voice of this, so that more and more people can see what's going on at this conference. Because one of the things I feel is like more people need to be here. More people need to hear this. This is life-changing, and it's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful weekend, and the fact that you're capturing it is like even more powerful because it's going to reach out further than the ripple of just this weekend. So, thank you.